Mr. Secretary, in his farewell speech to the UN General Assembly on Tuesday, President Obama stated, "There is no ultimate military victory to be won in Syria." As a member of this committee for many years, I find this assertion to be astounding. Our chairman and I, along with other members of this committee, have made repeated admonitions over the years that decisive action needs to be taken against President Assad. In August 2012, the President delivered his now infamous red line statement, in which he said, "We have been very clear to the Assad regime that a red line for us is we start seeing a whole bunch of chemical weapons moving around or being utilized. That would change my calculus. That would change my equation." Now, Mr. Secretary, a year later, disregarding the counsel of your predecessor, Secretary Hagel, the President canceled airstrikes against Assad, who had unleashed sarin gas on his own people outside of Damascus and continued his gruesome use of barrel bombs on civilians. This dramatic demonstration of weakness by the President left a vacuum in the region that was quickly seized by President Putin. We are now faced with an enduring quagmire. Sadly, President Obama's stunning remark that there is no ultimate military victory belies the reality of the Obama foreign policy that has ignored and belittled the advice of our leaders in the Department of Defense. To add insult to injury, the President issued a memo yesterday ordering you and General Dunford to consider climate change during our military planning process. Last weekend, we dealt with multiple terrorist attacks on our shores. Last night, we heard that ISIL may have launched a chemical attack on our troops. It boggles the mind that the President would issue such an order during this critical time in our history. 400,000 civilian deaths in Syria. I wonder what the carbon footprint of these barrel bombs would have been that we could have prevented had we acted decisively. What about the option of controlling the airspace so that barrel bombs cannot be dropped?
All the options.
What do you think of that option, sir?
Right now, Senator, for us to control all of the airspace in Syria would require us to go to war against Syria and Russia. That's a pretty fundamental decision that certainly I'm not going to make.
To impose a no-fly zone.
Chairman, could I for a second just answer?
No, Senator Gillibrand.
That's not what I said, Chairman.
Go ahead.
Well, yeah, I do think
What Senator asked me was to control all of the airspace.
No, what he asked was, should we have a no-fly zone so we can protect these people from being slaughtered? That's what he's talking about.
I answered that first.
That's what we're all talking about.
So that would not require going to war full scale, would it?
Not necessarily, Senator. I'm sorry, but I tried to answer the first question first, and then I was responding to the second part of your question. But I did not mean to say that imposing a no-fly zone would require us to go to war. That's not the question I was answering.